Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress video. Today, so there's some astrological transits going on right now. I'm not an astrologer, so I probably won't be able to tell you exactly what's happening. But basically, there's some shit going on with Mercury and Pluto and Saturn. And Saturn has just gone into Aquarius, but it's going to retrograde back to Capricorn for like a second, and then it's going to come back to Aquarius, and it's going to stay there for 2.5-ish years, something like that. But we also just had a very recent transit that started, I think, on the 4th, which was Saturday, that had something to do with Mercury, and what it essentially the results of it was very heightened anxiety. And of course, we're in a time right now in the world that's extremely anxious anyway, and anxieties likely for you, they were for me. But I just want to give you guys a little bit of validation that if you felt that sort of like really extreme fear and anxiety, like more than it has been lately throughout the weekend, you're not alone. So what I did yesterday, it was a nice day, so I went out in the backyard, and I have like this cute little like bistro garden table thing, and I used my Marigold Tarot, and I did a reading for right now, a month from now, 3 months from now, and 6 months from now. So this is as of yesterday, Sunday's date. And the reading essentially is, I'm going to take you through, this is just like a terrible reenactment of the readings that I did yesterday, because I found them to be very supportive and calming, and just the mere practice of looking to the future and trying to make sense of it really organized me and calmed me. I had had kind of a dark day on Saturday. I was just feeling really hopeless about the whole situation. And this was one of the things that really pulled me out of it. So I'm hoping that I can kind of, if you're in that mode right now, this is going to be a collective reading, because that's kind of the way that I did it yesterday, as a collective reading. So first I'm going to tell you let's call in the space first. Let's call in the water element with some Florida water here. Cover up my drink. I have gotten Florida water in my drink before. Okay, got that. And of course, always I do a spell candle. This one, I'm using up all my green spell candles right now. I've just put in an order for a witchy store online. I've never ordered from a witchy store online. Not directly anyway. Like, I've gotten Goddess Provision Box. Anyway, you guys don't care. I have more candles on the way, since I'm like really using up my spell candles right now, because I've been doing extra witchiness during this time. So I'm lighting another green candle. I don't know if it was a green candle in the last. Oh, I did. I was lighting a green pillar candle in the last collective reading, but I've since used that up. So this is another green candle because I'm bringing in practical, grounded pentacle earth healing. So we're going to light that. The intention is for everyone to heal and to gain the most positive outcomes and aspects of our current situation. I'm going to light this incense. I'm not entirely sure. I think this is a spiritual guide incense, because that's mostly what I have in this room. And of course, I have my little labradorite sphere. I don't always have it out. It's on a vertebra from a deer that I found in the forest. And then this is a smoky quartz to call in protection. I've carved some symbols on the candle. One for protection, one for earth, one for love, and one infinity symbol. For some reason, I just saw the infinity symbol in my head, and I decided to carve that on there as well. I've got a little heart-shaped rose quartz here for healing and love and interconnectedness for the collective reading. I've got a little malachite here and an amethyst for amethyst. I almost always have this little amethyst out because it's during readings, because it helps with like psychic awareness and stuff. Make sure I'm actually recording. Yes, I am. Okay, good. So I'm going to show you, basically this is like a little Russian doll. I'm going to take you through turning the cards over for each reading. There'll be a different deck representing each reading. And this is the position. So we've got just a traditional past, present, future. And for this particular situation, since our current situation is rapidly shifting and changing, when I talk about past, present, and future in these particular readings, I'm talking about like the last week or two for the past, the next week or two for the future. So that's what those positions will be for each of these readings. There'll be an as above, so below, in the way that I'm defining that for this particular collective reading chunk segment. The as above is going to be sort of the highest and best intentions for the particular time period of the reading. So if you believe in goddesses, angels, guides, any higher power, or if you just believe in, or like the Akashic records, or if you believe in just your own intuitive inner knowing, just sort of the best intention, the thing that the best possible outcome that we could get from this, the intention of the divine for us is the as above. The so below is going to be kind of the energy right now, the sort of like positive, best energy to work within on the ground. So this is like humanity, kind of the general mindset that we're in right now, and like a best possible scenario of the mindset that we're in right now, kind of. I'll explain that as we go. And I also pulled out Vintage Wisdom Oracle. I'm just going to, for each one of these readings, I'm going to pull one of these cards just as a clarifier. So this is the part that I haven't done beforehand. The rest of these readings I did yesterday. So let's go ahead and start turning this over. For us in the present moment, we're in the world, looking towards Temperance, with the Fool behind us, Hierophant below us, and then Queen of Swords above us. So the way that I interpreted this, first I'm going to read my notes to you guys on what I wrote yesterday, and then we'll kind of expand upon that. First I want to make sure all the cards are in the frame. Need to make sure to keep this bottom one up. Okay, sorry about like sort of the overexposure. I know we don't have great lighting. Okay, so what I wrote, Portrait of Right Now. The motivating factor is cutting out what is no longer needed / sacred boundaries. We were babies at the beginning, and now our world / society is at the end of its current cycle. Rules are how we are dealing, and we are headed towards balance. Okay, so that's just kind of basic overview shit that I could fit on the page, since I was jumbling all of these together on 2 pages, because for some reason I do things like that. So the way that I see us being in the world right now, the world is generally viewed as like a really happy end of a cycle, celebration, dancing kind of vibe. Like, of course we're not really there, like it doesn't feel like that, but the way that I'm deciding to view the world as being our current situation, where we are as a society, as the earth, as all citizens of earth are, this is a complete collective, these readings. Us being here means that it really is the entire world dealing with the same thing. We're all dealing with the same thing right now. And even just the sort of symbolism of the cards, this is the deck that I used for all of these readings yesterday, even though I'm going to show you more than one deck today. I decided the Portrait of Right Now I was going to keep as the Marigold Tarot, which is what I used yesterday. Even just the general symbology of this particular card being a knife hanging over. And that kind of brings us up to the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords being the as above card here is, it's about like the best possible way that we can, the best possible trajectory that we can go on right now. The intention of the divine is to cut shit out. Cut out the things that you don't need. I don't know if this is the case for you, but for me, being that I'm trying to minimize my trips to the grocery store and I'm trying to save as much money as possible because finances are uncertain right now, I am really learning to use all of the resources I have currently at my disposal. And it's really evident to me what matters and what doesn't. You know, there's a lot of people, I'm getting, most of my readings over on Etsy right now have been love related, interestingly. And at first it didn't really make sense to me. Like, why are we thinking about love right now? And then I was like, oh, because a lot of people right now being stuck at home inside with your partner, maybe you're spending more time with them than you have in a really long time. And it's making it painfully evident when that person that you chose to spend your life with is not right for you. And a lot of people are really thinking about whether or not they want to be in the relationships that they're in. And of course, that would be extremely evident if you're not in a good situation. So another thing that I find significant here is that all of these are major arcana cards. The entire world is going through a major fucking shift right now. The only thing that's not a major arcana card is the intention of the divine. And that kind of tells me that even though this feels huge, and it is huge, this situation right now feels huge and it is huge. The Queen of Swords, she's kind of like our Kali. She's our sacred boundaries person. She's here to say it's not actually as huge as it seems. You know, she's taking it a step back. You know, like the court cards are kind of like the intermediary between the minor and the major arcana almost. They're sort of like a liminal space in between. And she's saying, it feels big. I'm glad you're taking it seriously, and I'm glad, and she's all about sacred boundaries too. So like she's reinforcing that the boundaries that we are taking right now, the way that we're cutting ourselves off from everyone in the world, but also we're all going through this together, she's saying is the right thing. Let's see. Just the mere fact that in the past and the present, we have the very beginning of the cycle of the major arcana and the very end tells me that we have learned so much. And again, what I'm talking about as far as the time period of past, present, and future in these readings is very short, is like the last week or two. 2 weeks ago, we were babies at this whole sacred boundaries thing. We didn't know what we were doing. And now we're starting to get used to it, and we're starting to really perfect it, and we're starting to really hone, like we knew fucking nothing 2 weeks ago, and we're starting to really circle the answers right now. And the fact that we're transitioning into, in the next week or two, temperance means that we're going to begin to put together the beginning and the ending of this cycle of like sacred boundaries, social distancing, quarantine, all of that. I see that as this current cycle of, like, for me personally, 2 weeks ago, I was, at the very beginning of this. And a lot of people were at the very beginning of this 2 weeks ago. And just what we know now far surpasses what we knew 2 weeks ago. So I feel like temperance is here to tell us that in another couple of weeks, we're going to have a pretty good balance of, these two sides of the coin, the beginning and the end of the cycle. We're going to have a pretty good balance of it. We're going to know what's needed. We're going to have our priorities straight a little bit better. And we're going to start to feel, I see temperance as being a very, very welcoming card. I see Temperance as being sort of like Kuan Yin, you know? I put some weird oil on that candle, so it might crackle a little bit. I put Malediction. It is a combination of patchouli and vetiver because I wanted kind of that grounding element of patchouli I anointed that candle with, and I wanted also sort of like cavey quality of the vetiver. And it's kind of a volatile mixture. So I don't know, I wanted to add just a little bit of an element of like, I don't know, rebelliousness to this, to all of these calming, healing, beautiful images or energies. I wanted just a little spark of crazy. So that's what the Malediction is. So that's why you might get, like you did a second ago, those little sparks. So I see Temperance as being an extremely beautiful and healing energy. I think we're going to be really that soon. In the next week or two, we're going to be on the mend. This could even like extend out to like 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks at the most. We're going to start to heal. And this sort of like energy of like what's so below on the ground, like this is very, very like, duh. I don't know what other card could have ended up here. Hierophant is all about like creating rules, structures, and following them. Like Justice also would have made sense in this position, I think. But this is, you know, people are literally telling us what to do right now. And a lot of us kind of instinctually want to rebel. But for the most part, these rules right now are for the good. Some of them might be a little too cautious, but unfortunately we're in that space where we really need to set some real boundaries, unfortunately, between all of us. That's sort of like, let's pull a clarifying card. This one was starting to flop out. Gentleness. This is funny because this is I pulled one card per month from this deck for the year 2020, and this was my card for April. Gentleness. This is literally my card for April. And we're doing a spread that's kind of encompassing the entire month of April. So I see gentleness as being kind of take a deep breath. We're in a pretty major moment here. Allow yourself to breathe and be in this space and feel all of the feelings associated with it, even though that can be hard. Okay, so that's the portrait of right now. This is going to be a long video. Let's get into our next little moment here, represented by Children of Letha Tarot. So 1 month from now, this is kind of the general snapshot of the emotions of what we'll be dealing with. So hard to grip the Children of Letha cards. Okay, make sure they're all in the shot there. My Michael's playing with his synthesizers right now. That's not the world ending. That's just Michael playing with the synthesizers. For some reason, I feel like pulling this clarifier card for 3 months at the beginning instead of the end. I guess I should show you what I'm doing. I mean, you can hear it, but isn't it more fun when you can hear it and see it? Yes. I know how to make videos on YouTube. I'm going to use the one that was touching reading, so the one on the bottom. Divine timing, okay. Yes. So a month from now, here's what I wrote about it yesterday. Truths are finally being revealed. That's this. Now we are at sacred change, no longer scarce, learning to go back out and heal, headed to summer and charisma. Okay, so very basic overview. I don't even know why I'm reading for you the notes, just to kind of spark for myself some of the things I might want to say. So let's start with the so below. Our general feeling for 1 month from now, May 5th, as a society, as a world community, we're going to be really feeling that Six of Swords. To me, the way I interpret that is I anticipate there's going to be quite a lot of anxiety once people start going back out. Once they start going back to work, once they start going back to regular life, which it's not going to be the same, but once we start going back to some semblance of regular life again after all of this isolation, we're going to be going forward into beauty, but it is going to be like emerging from these cocoons. It really is going to be like traveling in that boat across the choppy waters towards calmer waters, but there's going to be a lot of anxiety surrounding going back out. There's going to be some people that are going to become agoraphobic because of this situation. And, we're going to really need to be brave going back out. But I see this as a very hopeful card because the Six of Swords is all about you're moving confidently toward the future into a better life with what you've learned still in your boat. Those swords are still in the boat. Those swords are still in your back. You have the pain from what you learned from the hard experience, but you're going forward into a better experience. This is interesting that these are both here too, because being the Five of Pentacles being in the past position, which is kind of where we are right now. The month from now's past is kind of now. We are very much in a Five of Pentacles moment right now. Very much. Because we're not at the doors of the church yet. We haven't been let in to the healing moment yet. We're still out in the cold. Metaphorically, of course. But that card is all about being on the precipice of a better moment. And this card is also the precipice of a better moment, but it's kind of a step further. Because when you're in the Six of Swords, you've already gotten in the boat and you're headed towards healing. You're headed towards those calmer shores on the other side. Being that this is in the past means we're going to come out of that Five of Pentacles and we're going to graduate to death. And death is actually really, really, really beautiful because, we're kind of, the Five of Pentacles is also a little bit like the Hanged Man, which is the card right before death. It's harder because it's where you're hanging upside down waiting. You're waiting. Right now we're waiting. We really can't do anything but wait right now. And it's agonizing. But once you're in death, that's when the change has taken hold. And that's when the shift the biggest, most painful part of the shift is over once you hit death. Like this person is already gone. So once you've gotten to that point, then you are ready to move forward. And you can even just see in like the color story going on here, the future and part of the grounding aspect of the present, and even the bottom half of this card has yellows and golds and reds of hopefulness. The rest of this is this sector is kind of cold and uncomfortable. But this sector, which is the sector that's going towards the future and the present, is more hopeful, is more warm. And the fact that we're moving towards, the somewhere around like mid and end of May, we're going to be headed into Knight of Wands territory. I think that also kind of symbolizes we're marching forward confidently into summer. And Knight of Wands is a very charismatic person. This is a person that right now is having the hardest time social distancing. They don't like it at all. They want to be out there spreading their charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. You know, they want to be out there. That this is the summer baby. This is like the person that just brings joy to your life. And that is what we're looking at for end of May. We're looking towards that, like, celebrating and being around people again, because Knight of Wands is not about not being around people. Knight of Wands is fully be around the most people. This is like a cult leader type energy. Like, I say that just because a Knight of Wands energy is very charismatic, very loving, very much like hugs and high fives, you know, just kind of even a shallow sort of energy. Like, this is not serious. Knight of Wands is not serious. All of the rest of this shit is very serious. And what we had in the right now reading is very serious. It's all going to happen when it's supposed to happen. And this divine timing points, for me, I would say the most significant card here is the As Above. And I always see the moon as a good card. For me, you know that Depeche Mode song, Waiting for the Night to Fall? I'm waiting for the night to fall when everything is bearable. That's how I feel. That's kind of like a theme song almost for me, because I really struggle during the day. But as soon as night falls, I'm fine. Like, there's no depression once it's dark for me. And I know not a lot of people, that's kind of the opposite of how most people feel. But I see the moon card as being very good as the sort of like message from the divine as above aspect of this reading for a month from now. Because that tells me that all of the fucking uncertainties that we have right now, all of the things that are obscured, the things that we can't see, they're going to start to be really revealed. Like, truths are going to be uncovered starting a month from now. Like, we're going to know more about this current situation, which is kind of, this is our current right here. If you're watching this at the beginning of May or beginning of April, we're going to have a lot of the uncertainties are no longer going to be uncertain a month from now. It's going to be in the progress, you know, like, death is still a process. And the uncovering of sacred truths that we need to have to be able to move confidently into our Knight of Wands moment, which is going to be so welcome to take a step back from all the seriousness and be in Knight of Wands for a while. Like, I cannot wait for this time period. And I usually do not look forward to the end of May, just because it's an anniversary date of something terrible in my own life. But I think we're going to start to like find out the answers to questions that we have right now. And we have a lot of questions right now. And we're going to find out some of those answers in May. And that's what I have to say about that. Let's move on to the 3 months from now reading, which I'm using Wild Unknown for that one. I don't really care if the cards are completely straight, but I do at least want them all to be in frame. So 3 months from now, this will be the day after the 4th of July. There we go. There we go. New beginnings. Oh, how gorgeous is that? How gorgeous is that? We got 4 of Wands in the top here. Daughter of Pentacles in the middle. Mother of Pentacles. So below. Okay, let's see what I wrote about it first, since we did that for all the other ones. We are motivated to celebrate the summer. 4th of July is raunchy with joy. We are no longer saving ourselves. We are stabilizing, moving toward true teamwork. We are largely rich and full of health. So this is pretty significant to see 3 different aspects from the Court of Pentacles, plus the 3 different aspects Court of Pentacles. I mean, this is the teamwork that we're seeing. The teamwork is between Mother, Daughter, and Son of Pentacles. And that is kind of the earth energy, the healing energy, the green candle, the malachite, like all of the shit that I'm trying to draw in right now is pretty largely protection and grounding. That's, and healing. Sort of very practical matters of health. And to see 4 Pentacles show up in the 3 months from now timeline is extremely hopeful to me. So how I view it is the message from the divine. Again, we're seeing a situation where like pretty much the least serious card here is the message from the divine. The divine is saying, however you view that, whether you view it as your own personal inner knowing, Akashic records, goddesses, angels, all that shit. However you view the divine, it's saying celebrate this moment. Celebrate the fact that we emerged on the other side of this. I fucking can't wait for this moment. And I also think it kind of means, for me personally, I have a lot of anxiety surrounding the 4th of July because explosions, not really my thing. Loud noises, not really for an autistic person. However, I do think that people are going to celebrate the 4th of July in an exuberant way that we haven't in a very long time, because we're going to be on the other side of this for the most part. I know that's not what a lot of the trajectories are saying, and even if like we haven't completely overcome this situation 3 months from now, we're going to feel like we've gone through the worst of it for sure, and we're going to be celebrating. And the message from the divine, being the celebration, is encouraging us to do that, to go ahead and let us celebrate and look through to that next portal, because inside that next portal is beauty and light, and we're going through it at this point. And the fact that we have so being in the past, the Son of Pentacles, that's kind of what we're going to be dealing with for the next 3 months. That sort of energy of like the Son of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles is kind of the slowest knight. You know, he's really like taking his time, riding on his horse, bringing that message. He's relaxed. He's taking his time and he's doing it right. And the fact that that is in our past for 3 months from now means that I see that as the progress is going to feel real fucking slow. It's going to feel real fucking slow, but by the time we've gotten to the beginning of July, that real slow progress is mostly going to be behind us. And we're going to be looking at the less serious, a progression backwards in this sense, going from the Sun to the Daughter, going from the Knight to the Page. I actually kind of like, as far as hierarchy of the core cards is concerned, I kind of think of the daughters as the most important, the daughters / pages as the most important, because they're the ones that don't have an astrological sign associated with them. They encompass all signs within that element. So this is, you know, this is the whole gamut of all the earth signs, which is what? Capricorn, Virgo, and what's the other earth sign? Taurus? Is Taurus earth? I think so. Isn't it? Yeah. Sorry if I'm wrong. But she encompasses all the earth signs. She is sort of the most divine representation because she encompasses all, but she's also the beginning of a cycle. I almost feel like the beginner's mind, new beginnings, the beginner's mind is kind of the purest source. So being the daughter of Pentacles means that, I don't know, I think we're going to be in the moment for a while. We're going to be feeling in the moment for a while. And once we get to 3 months from now, we're going to be little babies as far as mastering this situation. But we're going to have a lot of knowledge, and we're going to be looking very brightly towards the future. The so below being Mother of Pentacles, that tells me that the general vibe on the ground, on Earth, on the humans of planet Earth, the general vibe is going to be, we have everything we need. We're okay. This is just pure joy and abundance. You know, this is like, who's the goddess? The goddess of abundance, Lakshmi. This is Lakshmi right here. This is Beyonce. We're going to feel like we have everything we need and we have all the resources we need. And the future, I mean, I'm surprised that this is in the future. This could also be in the past. This could also be in the present. Like, all this Pentacles energy tells me that we already have learned a certain level of teamwork. But if it's still in our future, then that might mean we're still working. We're still working together, which is pretty hopeful that, like, this situation isn't going to resolve itself so quickly that we didn't learn the proper lessons from it. I think that the world is going to be working together to benefit each other in a way that we never, ever have before. And the fact that in 3 months from now, this is still part of our future, I feel like it's already part of our present and past. This is still part of the present right here. I feel like I don't fully understand this reading yet, but I know that it's extremely hopeful that 3 months from now we've got all these fucking pentacles and we've got the celebration energy here. So I kind of want to revisit this. I almost want to maybe, what do you guys think about this as far as we progress forward? If I revisit these particular readings once we hit this point, so I'll do the 1 month from now, I'll do the 3 months, and I'll do the 6 months, and we'll kind of revisit this reading and kind of do an additional reading to support it, maybe pull extra cards and kind of reflect on the situation as it goes, because the way that you understand a particular reading changes as you, especially if we're doing these future readings. I may not fully be able to understand what this fucking means 3 months from now, because it's going to feel differently then, and these cards will make more sense to me in 3 months. You know what I'm saying? I do know that this feels good. I do know that. And new beginnings is good. I feel like we're going to be largely over the biggest, crappiest part of this 3 months from now. Okay, now let's go to 6 months from now. All of these cards are actually Happy Halloween cards, but I left it on the Happy Halloween side for 6 months from now, since we will be headed into fall and the best time of the year. This one's kind of interesting because I feel like at this point, this particular reading, 6 months from now, is kind of less about the collective and more about me. Or it's slightly more personal. It's not completely a collective reading. I'm still going to try to interpret it that way right now, but I see things that are a little bit more personal to me as we get into this 6 month reading. And that tells me that by the time we get to 6 months from now, October 5th, by the time we get to that point, I will be back to really thinking about myself again. I'll be being selfish again, which is a good sign for the collective, because if we're able to refocus on ourselves, on us as individuals again by this point. It will mean that the collective danger has mostly passed us. That's the way that I'm seeing it anyway. So I'm going to have to like kind of, I'm going to be sort of interpreting this reading. I'm going to try to relate my personal reaction to this and why I think this is a personal reading more than the collective reading. I'm going to try to relate the way that I feel about it to the collective as well. So hopefully it'll still be relevant for everyone. Here's what I wrote about it. We have exalted the vitality of our community. So that was where we were. The so below 3 months from now was Queen of Pentacles in the last reading. So it's moved to the message from the divine. I will be, October 5th is 2 days after my birthday. I will have moved into a hermit year. I'm in a strength year right now, but 2021 is going to be a hermit year. That is a confirmation that that is the correct assumption for that this is a personal, kind of more personal. But anyway, that said, I will be moving into a hermit year at that point. I will be 2 days out from my hermit year. I've learned some sacred soul lessons. This is my soul card, the Lovers. And now I go forward into true joy and happiness. Our society is grounded in and pregnant with love and feminine power. So the way that I'm, at first when I pulled the Hermit as the present card for 6 months from now, I kind of prickled at it for a second because I was like, shit, are we still going to be inside? Are we still going to be hermiting 6 months from now? But then when I realized this really struck me as more of a personal reading, me moving into my hermit year, it's going to be a victorious moment for me because strength years have always been very hard for me, and that's what I'm in right now. And it's hard. It's hard for all of us. It's not just me. So the fact that I'm going to be moving into a hermit year at this point, 6 months from now, means it's a good reminder for me personally that I'm already 6 months into, since I'm 6 months out from transitioning to hermit, I am already 6 months into my strength year. So I've already made it halfway. And that is really encouraging to me. So let's try to, I'm going to try to relate this collectively. Again, I'm struggling a little bit with understanding this as a collective reading because it's 6 months from now. Like, obviously this looks great, right? The message from the divine, being Queen of Pentacles, tells me that, you know, we were right 3 months ago. And when she was in this position, we were right. And even like Queen of Pentacles and the Empress are they're kind of the same person almost, you know? We've sort of ascended from Queen of Pentacles to Empress at this point, as far as the on the ground, sort of the general vibe. Being Empress in October makes me extremely happy because 2020 is an Emperor year, and that feels dark to me. We don't really need an Emperor year. We already have enough boy energy as it is. You know what I'm saying? We'll be ready for Emperor years again when our society is actually equal. But Empress energy is going to be very welcome. Like this sort of Earth Mother beauty and abundance. We're still going to be feeling that Lakshmi energy. And it's going to be a long-lasting abundance. I mean, the fact that it showed up, you know, this sort of like Pentacles energy and motherly abundance energy showing up in these two placements and in this placement in the last reading, the 3 months reading. Sorry, I'm like losing all my communication skills at the moment. This is extremely helpful to me. Okay. Oh my God, you can't even really see this card. That's sad. Everything's so overexposed. I wonder if I can like prop it up. Does that help? Yes, okay. Yes. We want to look upon the beauty of the Queen of Pentacles. So the as above and so below being the same tells me that we're really going to be in sync. Like us as a community, we're going to be in sync with what the divine wants for us. And that message includes freedom. Anytime we're going to get to go out and be around other people is going to feel like freedom for a long time. You know, once we get back to normal life again, it's going to feel like, I mean, this is freedom too. Like future, like the end of the year is going to be an extremely exuberant and abundant time. And that hopefully is going to last as well. I could even do, once we like do our month from now reading, I might do a new 6 months from now. So we'll be looking at November at that point or something like that. I don't know how exactly I'm going to do this shit. But the fact that we've gone from lovers, and I do kind of feel like we're kind of, I keep saying this in pretty much all these readings, we're in a lover's moment right now because we're learning a new way to communicate, a new way to... Lover's card is not just about like actually being in love with another person. It's also about interconnectedness, and it's about the fact that we are all one. This is a Gemini card, which is the twins. We are all one. We are all made of the exact same shit. And this is a huge lesson of like interconnectedness that we are learning right now. And the fact that that is in a past position 6 months from now. You know what? Going from lovers to hermit, I think I just figured that out. As a community, that's going to be more of a... And that's why this reading feels more personal to me. I was getting that instinct not only because it's more personal to me, but also because we're going from learning how to be a very interconnected society to refocusing back on ourselves again. And that's a good sign simply because once we're able to, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like right now we're all in survival mode and we can't think about little petty things. We can't think about our own personal happiness quite as much because we're worried about everyone. And that is exactly where we need to be right now. But transitioning back into refocusing on our own personal shit is going to be a beautiful moment when we're ready to be there again. Because we will have learned these lessons and we will become a much more integrated, beautiful, abundant society. But we're able to, once we start getting into a hermit moment, it'll be a way for us to integrate the lessons we've learned to being more community minded, integrate those lessons into a change within ourselves. We'll be able to really bring the message home and bring it within. And the fact that we see Queen of Pentacles and Empress above and below us in this moment of hermit means that we are going to be able to integrate that. It's going to be so beautiful. We're going to see something in our society that we've never seen before when we all come out on the other side of this. And the fact that we're seeing a future of pretty much the happiest card in the whole fucking tarot. Like joy, happiness, just skipping down the street with the sun on our faces. We're going to have that feeling for a long time. And I'm really excited. I don't know. I hope that I can bring just like a little bit of positivity to your world right now. I had a reminder set on my phone. I was going to, every 3 months this year, I was going to talk about, you know, I was going to have like a quarterly video talking about my depth year and how it's going. But that just doesn't even seem important right now. I think I'm going to do more of these like sort of community readings instead. I would like to also just like so thankful for all of you that are coming to my Etsy shop and ordering readings. I wanted to just put this out there for a second because I would love to do readings for you. I've got all the time in the world right now. So most likely if you order a reading from me, it will get to you within a few days. All of my readings are 50% off right now, which essentially means that a half-hour reading from me is $12.50. and an hour reading from me is $20. So there's also a couple other reading options. I don't know the exact prices being 50%. I don't have the numbers on the top of my head, but nothing is more expensive than $20 right now. My hour-long reading is my most expensive reading. So I would love to read for you if you would like me to. I can get a little bit more personal with some of these messages, and I can tailor it to whatever you want to hear right now, whatever you want to talk about right now. I try to personalize the readings as much as possible. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing okay. This is very reassuring to see Queen of Pentacles, Empress, Hermit, and the Sun 6 months from now. Like, we're going to have learned some really important lessons about how interconnected we all are. And we're going to be able to be selfish again. We're going to be able to bring it back in and start thinking about the stupid shit again and integrate it within ourselves. Like, Hermit is, I keep saying, think about the stupid shit again. What I mean by that is we're going to be able to take our world into a little bit smaller. We're going to be able to think about, we're going to be able to retreat from worrying about the entire world and worry more about just ourselves. And I shouldn't say worry, but we're going to be able to integrate it. We're going to be able to do it. It's a beautiful thing, and it feels so hard right now, but being able to do these readings yesterday really brought me out of a depression, and hopefully I was able to pass on a little bit of that to you today. And the fact that we're seeing freedom here, I didn't really focus on that quite enough, but yeah, spreading your wings. Like, that bitch is gonna fly right off and go wherever the fuck she wants, even if it's a place with a whole bunch of people in it. We're getting there. We're gonna get there. It's gonna be okay. I really believe that's true. I will leave that candle burning, as with all of my spell candles, until it burns out automatically on its own. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you in the next one.